How's it going everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm gonna explain how Avengers Endgame has completely redeemed Avengers Age of Ultron, and how Age of Ultron is mostly responsible for Endgame's huge success. Avengers Endgame has pretty much shattered all box office records around the world and is still going pretty well. Age of Ultron, however, was the least earning Avengers movie in the entire Infinity Saga. Avengers 1 has earned more than Avengers Age of Ultron, and keeping in mind, Marvel's Avengers was released back in 2012 and Age of Ultron was released in 2015. When the first ever Avenger movie was so good, people were really hyped up for Avengers 2, but it didn't really live up to everyone's expectation at that time, and because of that, people didn't really go for repeated viewings, which ultimately resulted in lesser box office numbers. We are not going to talk about why Age of Ultron failed to do good business among all the Avengers movies, but we're going to mostly focus on how Age of Ultron laid the foundation for majority of the outcomes in Avengers Endgame, and how it helped build the entire plot that would ultimately be paid off in a grand way in the 22nd movie. Before we jump into more details, I'd like to announce that I'm doing a giveaway of IMAX tickets to Spider-Man Far From Home to a randomly selected 3 people. To enter this giveaway, all you have to do is be subscribed to my channel, like and share this video, and comment down below your most favorite moment from Age of Ultron. Moving on, Age of Ultron was kind of dark, a very rare characteristic of a Marvel film, but it's true. Among many reasons why people didn't really appreciate Thor: The Dark World was one big reason that the movie's title wasn't just dark, the whole story was kind of not bright, let's say. Let's name the major references that Endgame makes to Age of Ultron so we have a better perspective. Pretty obvious one, the title of the movie Endgame is completely derived from a conversation between Tony and rest of the Avengers. But because it's the title, so let's not count that as a reference and try to look at the other big references in Endgame to Age of Ultron. Number 1. Tony refers to Ultron about the suit of armor around the world while talking to Steve Rogers in Endgame. He refers to his old conversation with Cap where he said we would lose, and Cap said even if we lose, we'd lose together.
That up there, that's the Endgame. How are you guys planning on beating that? Together. We'll lose. And we'll do that together too.
But because of the choices Steve made in Civil War, they both had gone their different ways, for which they ultimately lost in Infinity War. Number 2. Thor's The Water of Sight, where Eric Selvig says to Thor, men who enter that water, the legends don't end well.
The water of sight.
In every realm there's a reflection. If the water spirits accept me, I can return to my dream and find what I missed.
Men who enter that water, the legends don't end well.
Thor goes there to get back to his dream and dissect the meaning of his vision, where he finds out everything about the 6 Infinity Stones. He finds out that Loki's scepter contains the Mind Stone. He foresees Ragnarok even before it was even close to happening, and as long as Dr. Selvig's words are concerned, where he said things don't really end well for whosoever enters that water, it's exactly what happened in Thor's life. He lost his father because of a not so good brother, lost his hammer to his own sister, had to kill his own sister, lost one of his good eyes, had to fulfill the prophecy of Ragnarok, lost half the Asgardians to Thanos and his army, had to see Heimdall being killed, Loki being choked to death, all of this at the hands of Thanos. And by the time we got to see him in Avengers Endgame, the mighty god of thunder was so much affected by PTSD that even Rocket Raccoon was able to describe the mighty god of thunder as a melted ice cream. Just goes to show how much bad to worse Thor's life has gotten ever since he went into the water of sight. So when we saw the fat Thor in Avengers Endgame, it also kept the story continuity shown in Age of Ultron. Had they not make Thor such a miserable person, that line from Age of Ultron of Dr. Selvig's would not make any sense. So him going from bad to worse is just what was predicted in Age of Ultron. Number 3. Cap lifting the Mjolnir. When Cap summoned and lifted the Mjolnir, Thor says, I knew it. It's a direct reference to the moment when he was kind of shocked to see Cap moving the Mjolnir ever so slightly in Age of Ultron. It was Kevin Feige's idea to sleep this moment in Age of Ultron, where Cap gives us a slight hint of being able to move the hammer, which Kevin Feige then asked the Russo brothers to finish it off in Endgame, where Captain America finally lifts the hammer. This was all pre-planned from the time of Avengers Age of Ultron. The Russo brothers, Kevin Feige, even the director of Age of Ultron has all but confirmed that Captain America was worthy ever since that moment. So Age of Ultron hinted at something that would draw one of the biggest cheering moments in Avengers Endgame. Number 4. The Captain America Avengers Assemble moment. It was teased for the very first time in Age of Ultron where Cap almost said Avengers Assemble, but just after saying Avengers the screen cut to black. Who knew we would wait so long for Cap to say this line and eventually it would become one of the biggest scenes of movie history, let alone just Endgame. Number 5. The introduction of Scarlet Witch, aka Wanda Maximoff. She came into the MCU as an ally of Ultron but later on switched sides, realizing she was on the bad side of the story. She was afraid, scared, and full of regrets for what she did, but then Hawkeye gave her such an inspiring short speech that would wind up making her one of the strongest Avengers, who would end up forcing Thanos in Endgame to rain fire, because that's just how desperate she made Thanos that he stopped caring about his own troops.
The city is flying. We're fighting an army of robots. And I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense. But I'm going back out there because it's my job. Okay, and I can't do my job and babysit. Doesn't matter what you did or what you were. If you go out there, you fight, and you fight to kill. Stay in here, you're good. I'll send your brother to come find you, but if you step out that door, you are an Avenger. Good chat.
Number 6. Hawkeye's Secret Family. The fact that Age of Ultron introduced us to the secret family of Hawkeye gave us an incredibly emotional moment at the beginning of Endgame, where he was just enjoying a breakfast with his family and Thanos' snap turned every member of his family into dust. This scene not only showed us he took a very big hit, but they were able to pull this off because Age of Ultron had already established an emotional connection between us and his family. Number 7. Black Widow and Bruce Banner. The romantic relationship between these two was first ever depicted in Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron has perfectly showcased how vulnerable as well as victims of certain situations these two characters are. The movie established a love interest between these two, which would ultimately be paid off in Endgame, where after Ned's death, Professor Hulk just knees down on the floor. Again, what started in Age of Ultron got its finishing touch in Endgame. Number 8. Tony's Nightmare. The dream that Tony sees in Age of Ultron, where he could not save his friends, the aliens were overtaking the Earth, and Cap's broken shield. All of this have been some way or the other shown or at least hinted at in Avengers Endgame. Cap's broken shield is exactly what Tony saw in his dream. The aliens coming from another planet to destroy the Earth is also what Tony saw in his dream. And the fact that he had to make the ultimate sacrifice to save everybody on Earth, including the rest of the Avengers, just goes to show that Tony knew what can and would happen if he doesn't snap his fingers and decimate Thanos and his army. He knows what would happen because he was shown a dream in Age of Ultron, for which he did not hesitate to lay down his own life instead of just cutting the wire.
You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play, to lay down on a wire and let the other guy crawl over you.
I think I would just cut the wire.
Always a way out. You know, you may not be a threat, but you better stop pretending to be a hero.
A hero? Like you? You're a laboratory experiment, Rogers. Everything special about you came out of a bottle.
I know that's an Avengers 1 reference, but all I'm trying to say is Tony knew the outcome of not snapping his fingers because of what happened in Age of Ultron. Number 9. The introduction of Vision in the MCU. Vision and Wanda, another couple of MCU who both became Avengers in the same movie. Although Wanda started to fall in love with Vision and vice versa, mostly in Captain America Civil War, but it all started from Age of Ultron. The fact that Scarlet Witch was so pissed off at Thanos in Endgame was mostly because she lost the only love of her life that was left after losing her parents and brother, so having Vision being introduced in Age of Ultron pretty much sets the stage for the upcoming events in other Avengers movies. Number 10. Last but not least, Tony and Steve's alternate life. Tony says in Age of Ultron that he should take Barton's lead and build Pepper a firm.
Maybe I should take a page out of Barton's book. Build Pepper a farm. Hope nobody blows it up.
The simple life.
You get there one day.
I don't know. Family, stability. Guy who wanted all that went in the ice 75 years ago. I think someone else came out.
You all right?
I'm home.
which he eventually did in the 5 years time span in Endgame. Steve, on the other hand, when got the opportunity to relive his life with no regrets, finally decided to take Tony's advice and lived an alternate life with Peggy Carter. Basically, Endgame fulfilled the prophecy made in Age of Ultron about the conclusion of Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. All of these things that we got to see in Avengers Endgame is some way a seed that was planted way back in Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron might have come to the audience of back then as something rushed, unclear, or dark, but the more the MCU moved forward, specifically with Endgame, the more clearer and schematic it got for us to measure everything shown in Age of Ultron. The point I'm trying to paint here is even I had my doubts when I watched Age of Ultron for the first time in the theaters, because all it showed was the Avengers fighting a bunch of robots that wants to replace humanity with metal. But now that we have seen Endgame, we can go deep and articulate how amazing of a job Age of Ultron did to continue the story of Infinity Saga in such a unique way that would surprise us all when it pays off. And did it pay off with Endgame? It sure did. Shoutouts to Joss Whedon for writing such amazing story for Age of Ultron, and Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely for preserving the continuity of a story that's a decade long. And that's it. That's how I think Endgame has completely turned the tables and redeemed Age of Ultron in every possible way we didn't think was possible. It's not just the title that Endgame takes from Age of Ultron, it's more than that. And with that, I'm gonna end today's video, and just before that, I'd like to give a reminder that I'm doing a giveaway of IMAX tickets to Spider-Man Far From Home to a randomly selected 3 people. To enter this giveaway, all you have to do is be subscribed to my channel, like and share this video, and comment down below your most favorite moment from Age of Ultron. If you like this video, I have another one for you where I emphasized how Avengers Age of Ultron has fixed Hawkeye and his character arc. So click on this video to watch that too, and I'll see you lads tomorrow.